Welcome to Innovation Insights. I'm delighted to be here with Chris Luebkeman. He's the Fellow and Director at Arup Foresight. Chris, welcome. I want to talk about this aspect of building design and how designers really look into the future to try and understand the needs of the firms and the talent that they're employing.
So it's a really great question. There are three questions in one.
Yeah, I know.
Arup, we're a global company, so we have offices all over the world. So one of the things that we do is are constantly poll or interact with the architects, the designers, the city planners, the urban planners to understand their views.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because it's important to hear what our clients, our collaborators, even our competitors are thinking.
Yeah.
The second part is we also do that. We look out at networks beyond the built environment.
Okay.
Right? To look at demographic change, environmental change, political change, to understand and to develop our own views on how needs are going to be changing. Okay, so this is in a broad spectrum.
Yeah.
Then if you take a look at the other side of the question, is specifically for workplaces, okay, or for people, then you have to take a look at the different needs of the cohorts for which we're designing and their industry, right? So the needs of, say, the hospitality industry and the needs of the electric vehicle industry might be quite different.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
And there's no singularity when we're looking at this, which is the boon and the bane of our world.
So is this very different than how it was done, say, a couple of decades ago? Are you really kind of focused on the kind of, the talent-centric, how do you understand those factors?
So yes and no.
Yeah.
Well,
and maybe, and how has that affected the kind of rate of technology adoption?
Sure. Okay, so yes and no. The yes part is we now understand to a much, much, much greater degree the needs and desires of people, of workers, and asset owners. Mm-hmm. We know for the very, very first time, for example, where people are moving inside of cities, because our telephones are all tracked.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So governments know, and this is easily acquirable data where every single citizen is moving and how fast they're moving.
Okay.
What we don't know yet is exactly why we're moving from point A to B.
Okay.
But we know where.
Okay.
And we know how.
So you're following their journeys, if you like. In the morning, you see all the movements.
Exactly. So we can follow that. We can look at the modal split. We can see the transfers. You can marry that with purchase patterns and your credit card data. So your digital signatures allow one to understand those trends, but I come back to we don't know why yet. Okay, so that's the sort of the newer part. The part which is is humans are tribal. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're animals in the sense of just like you and I sitting here together.
Yeah, we're the same species, but different. Designed.
Exactly,
like,
and we like to sit together.
Yeah.
Right. So. There will still always be a need for space, for place, for humans to gather, to exchange, to look each other in the eye. And Skype or whatever you use will supplement that, but will not replace it.
Okay.
So yes and no. So some things still remain the same, this humanness, this desire to, eat and drink together, but on the other hand, we've got so many more tools.
Is there really this kind of 9 to 5 existence anymore, or has kind of work time blurred into free time?
That's a generational thing.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So, and overall, I would say globally, the 9 to 5 is pretty much blurred out, in the sense of some companies are still requiring office hours. Yeah. Most companies on especially the top of the pyramid, are no longer requiring a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, with a recognition, exactly as you've indicated, of this blurring of home work, entertainment work. This is especially in the knowledge worker category. If you're flipping burgers or making spaghetti, that's probably not quite the same as if you're an office worker.
I want to switch tack quickly. I think the generation, the millennials, are clearly increasingly concerned about the effect of climate change.
Sure.
And, the built environment has always been quite difficult. So, how does the industry respond to that?
So I would suggest it's not just millennials.
Yeah.
I think this is
maybe the older generation as well.
I know we carry a responsibility for many of the actions, and I call it the unintended consequences of many of our decisions.
Right.
And now we're seeing the industry wide looking at how to use both materials which are capturing carbon.
Yeah.
That's one part. The circular economy, circular construction, circular design. So you're designing not only for fabrication but for deconstruction.
Yeah.
Is another really big trend we're seeing.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, an acceptance that we might have to put sweaters on in an office instead of heating it so you're in a sauna, or cooling it so you're in an ice box, to actually look for places which are more environmentally friendly, climate friendly. 100%. And then the last one with this one is walkability. Right? Millennials and others are beginning to realize that, walkability and assets which are walkable are healthier, they're more interesting, they create neighborhoods and places, you experience the streets, even if they're polluted, in a much, much nicer way than having to drive in a car. So you got public transportation and this walkability as being sort of the last big trend here.
Great. Chris, thanks very much for your insights. I think it's really important to understand how research and data influencing the design, and that the industry is moving, if you like, towards decarbonization. So that's great to hear as well. Thanks very much for your time.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.